From cheers of the fans to the crack of the bat, learn it all from Jimbo, Gabe, Mike, and Matt. Giving thoughts on all poly teams, whether times are boom or if they are lean. Hero players that you should know, not only the good things, highs and the lows. Here it is, we're ready to go. Please enjoy the podcast on with the show.
Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to the podcast, the officially unofficial podcast of Pacific League TV in English. I'm one of your hosts, Gabriel Lerman, and joining me in the virtual booth is Michael Bealey. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Excited to talk about all the fallout from the off-season, but I did notice that someone is missing.
Yeah, our usual third musketeer, Jimbo Bernicki, is absent. We are going to get a wellness check issued out on him. I think the pain and anguish of losing a 2-0 series lead and then wiping out in the Japan series might have been too much for the dude.
Yeah, tough way to go, but I'm sure he can get some solace in watching his Cowboys, his Lakers, and his Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, there's always next season. Speaking of which, it is the off season, and our fourth man in the booth, our Iron Chef Italian Masahiko Kobe, Matt Seivert, has pre-recorded a breakdown of the pending free agents coming up this season. Take a listen.
Welcome back, listeners. I have some information for you about the free agent class as we head into the off season for NPB. To start with, let's break down some numbers. There are a total of 111 players that have free agent qualifications. Now that splits out in 4 ways. There are first-time eligibles and existing eligibles, both for domestic free agency and for international free agency. So out of the 111 free agents, 61 were eligible to be posted. So playing time and or age combined to allow them to be sent over to other foreign leagues with no limit on the amount of money they can command in a contract. Now, 7 additional players achieved international free agency for the first time across the 12 NPB teams. Meanwhile, on the domestic side of things, 19 players were already eligible for domestic free agency, and 24 achieved it for the first time this offseason. Obviously, if you're familiar with the posting system, seeing 2 former Pacific League exports hoisting a World Series trophy with the Dodgers this year, the difference between Shohei Ohtani's first deal as an amateur under the age of 25 and the Yoshinobu Yamamoto's deal as he was over 25 years old when he first went. So there are a couple things I have to clarify. Notably, this list of free agents includes people we already know are retiring. So I will go ahead and gloss over those names so we don't actually, consider them available for new teams. They've already signed the retirement papers or, signaled their intent, played in a retirement game, which class of free agency they're eligible for. So we're going to do this in the order I accessed them from the official table put up by NPB instead of standings order. So bear with me. I will try and explain everybody's current team. For the first time eligible domestic players, we have a couple of fighters, that being infielder Kazunari Ishii and outfielder Taiga Egoshi. The Eagles have 3, outfielder Kazuki Tanaka, pitcher Tomohito Sakai, and infielder Toshiki Abe. The Marines have pitcher Yuji Nishino. The Buffaloes have infielder Masahiro Nishino. And the Hawks, as previously mentioned, have 4 here. Catcher Takuya Kai, pitcher Kohei Arihara, utility player Taisei Makihara, and pitcher Shuta Ishikawa. Now you're wondering probably why Arihara is here. Remember that he went to MLB via the posting system before and has achieved it again for his time in NPB since returning. And with that, I'm going to pass it back over to the guys to talk about their favorites and possibly a little speculation on some of the Central League as well.
Of the ones that Matt mentioned, there's a couple that leap out to me. Kazuki Tanaka was basically a bust for the Eagles. Maybe he'll catch on somewhere and actually catch a spark. It does happen. See Shun Mizutani moving from Hawks to Fighters and discovering how to swing a stick. Toshiki Abe, nemesis of the Baseball for Breakfast broadcasts, maybe moving on again. Masahiro Nishino's an interesting one because the Buffaloes really did well with him at second base, but I'd argue that's Ryo Ota's spot. The Phenom is ready to go. So regrettable, but not too missed. Kai and Makihara out of the Hawks, though. Are we really sure they're gonna walk? I would be surprised if Makihara doesn't get tendered a contract. Kai, I'm not sure if they're ready to hand the reins over to Takashi Umino yet.
Takuya Kai is the most interesting one to me because I don't think they'll let him walk, but at the same time, I mean, he's at this point in his career, he's pretty much a glove first catcher. Like his offense is decent, it's above other catchers, but I don't it's not like, when Tomoya Mori was playing, catcher with the Lions, that was, absurd. And I don't really think any other team is really hurting for a very good defensive catcher. I think pretty much everyone's been fine. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that, needs a new catcher right now or someone's not getting it done. So I mean, I think he would stay with the Hawks, but I also don't necessarily think the Hawks have any reason to keep him other than him being a fan favorite at this point.
I mean, the guy's won what? 8 Golden Gloves, a few Japan series.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly would like to see him like end his career in the Hawks uniform, but I mean, I really don't see where he would go if anywhere. And then what's his asking price? I mean, the only team that I would really think would meet that would be the Hawks, and whether I don't know if he'd go, to non-DH territory, but other league nonsense. But I mean, I don't see where he'd go.
Anyone from the other league that caught your eye that you wouldn't mind taking a flyer on?
Yoshitomo Tsutsugo he's been one of my favorite players, not just in the league, but in baseball in general. And I still remain convinced that the Rays changed him as a player for the negative. Because if you go and watch like even early spring training when he got posted with the Rays back in 2020, it just does not look like the same player. And I'm not going to say, oh, all the coaching staff in MLB failed and blah, 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 but he just didn't look the same. And now he was back with Yokohama. He won a Japan series, but he didn't really perform the way we expected Tsutsugo to perform. He did come in halfway through the season. Just still to me does not look like the same player that, went over back in at the end of 2019. I would think, that would be a good signing for a team because, in the Pacific League he can play DH and he is a bit of a defensive liability. I mean even at first base he's not, the best option. Even, left field he's barely passable if that. He's not going to win you any defensive awards. He's there for the bat, and I think there's several Pacific League teams that could use him in that DH spot.
Eagles. Eagles stand
Eagles definitely.
straight up for me.
I think that would be the probably the most no-brainer pick. Obviously, as a Marines fan and a fan of Tsutsugo, I would like that because I would think, a lineup of Polanco, Soto, and Tsutsugo, that would just go really, really hard and be a really tough lineup to get through.
Yes, but then you have to put either Tsutsugo or Polanco in the field. Issue.
Yeah, Polanco's been in the field a lot more than I expected. He's had some outfield duty, so I mean, I think he's a better defender than Tsutsugo is. At least he's a lot faster in the outfield than Tsutsugo is, and yeah, I would say if he's going to go to any Pacific League team, I think the Eagles would be the best fit, but I could also see the Hawks being like, ooh, another very
Shiny.
powerful,
Yes.
shiny bat. I need this. This is mine. You beat me, now I own you.
I got an idea. Keita Sano over to the Lions. Their outfield could definitely use some help. Their offense could use some help. I think he checks both boxes. I could also see them taking a flyer on Takumi Oshiro from the Giants if he doesn't get a contract extension. Matt also flagged Oshiro as a possible, mostly because he's not sure if he still fits in with the Kyojin's plans.
Sano would definitely be a good fit. After Tsutsugo went over to the posting, Sano was immediately made their captain, and he was very popular in Yokohama, so I could see him staying, but Yeah, the Lions. I think pretty much any of the free agents would be a net benefit to the Lions after the 2024 season.
Two other top stories. First off, the AG Sawamura Award Committee announced that the winner this year is nobody. It's a little disappointing, but it's also not the first time this has happened. You have to go look back to 2019 for the last time. And is what it is. I mean, that's what happens when there's one award for both leagues and very strict criteria. It's not the Cy Young. There's no default winner. There's no, okay, we have to give it out this year. And with Yoshinobu Yamamoto carving up the majors now, there's no easy option.
Yeah, and on that criteria, just for anybody unsure, it is yeah, it's not the Cy Young Award. It's based on a specific set of criteria that mirrors the career of A.G. Sawamura, the Hall of Fame pitcher for the Giants from back in the 1930s. So the criteria is pretty strict. There is some wiggle room here and there. There's been years where, a player excels in a couple of the categories but doesn't meet, much if all of the other categories. I kind of think at this point I would like to see another pitching award introduced just to have a Cy Young equivalent as opposed to a Sawamura strict criteria award. But I don't see that happening. And to be fair, the Sawamura is kind of cool how they honor a player like that.
If anything, the best nine at pitcher is probably the closest thing.
Yeah, most likely. And then I don't know if it's happened yet, but it would be pretty cool if in the future if another pitcher with the last name Sawamura could win the Sawamura Award. There's been a few, but I don't think any have won it yet.
Yeah, Hirokazu hasn't come close.
So sad.
One last top story. The Premier 12, run by WBSC, will be starting up imminently. November 9th is the first game of Group A play. Samurai Japan will be hosting games in Group B starting November 13th. Their opening round debut will be at Ventolin Dome Nagoya on November 13th, up against Australia, the Baseball Roos. Japan are obviously pool favorites, but we'll see how the tournament goes.
Interesting about the Premier 12 Samurai Japan roster is has a Premier 12 been there since 2019? Was there a lengthy hiatus?
Yeah, there was a 2019 instance.
Yes, 2019 they kind of walked out like an NPB God Squad if I recall, and then this lineup just seems kind of still pretty, it's pretty good. There's a lot of heavy hitters on there, but it doesn't seem like they're wheeling out, the WBC team again.
Yeah,
Normally with
that's the
the
one downside with the Premier 12 being after the season. A lot of folks are tired. I mean, the US is sending Rich Hill to be their ace.
yeah, the I always expect that from the US. They always, for the Premier 12 at least they do that. But Samurai Japan's been they've shipped out, close to A squads most of the time. This is the first year in recent memory I think that it's been the way it is. But also Rich Hill didn't even pitch this year professionally, I don't think.
You are correct.
Huh. It's kind of like how Scott Matheson, former NPB foreign pitching ace, was also he retired and then pitched for Canada the very next year, if I recall.
Yeah, and that reset his Hall of Fame eligibility. I checked.
That's interesting.
Moving on to the last big story, the playoff review. That was surprising. The Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks are the first 90 plus win team to lose a Japan series since the Lions got swept by the Giants back in 2002. Included in that, from games 3 through 6, were 27 consecutive innings without scoring a run to set a Japan series record. Absolute nails out of the Bay Stars bullpen. It's hard to win a game if you can't score runs.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that I'm completely shocked by it. I was hoping for the Bay Stars at the end of it. I can't even sit there and say, oh, the Hawks ran into like a hot team. They're up 2-0. I don't That's not running into a hot team. That's just, hitting a wall basically.
Would you call it the gentleman's reverse sweep?
I'd consider calling it that.
Yeah, it was appropriate, didn't let them get full hope by giving them game 3. Hawks shortstop Kenta Imamiya won the Fighting Spirit Award for being the best player on the losing team. And also, I love this tidbit. Game 1 starter Kohei Arihara became the first pitcher to pick up a win and a game-winning RBI in the same Japan Series game since Kimiyasu Kudo did it for the Lions back in 1986. Those two RBI were his career firsts.
I really like the callback there to Kudo. Obviously the manager of that Hawks dynasty of the 2010s. It's really nice two players there. Both Hawks players, both Hawks greats.
I mean, credit where credit is due. Yamakawa hit some bombs, but I don't think they were expecting DNA to just come out and rimrock them like that. At least Yanagita got one final home run for the season, just to give them a bit of a scare.
I did say this in in like the group chat. I did find it interesting that Yanagita was the final out because if you really, want to get poetic about it, the way this decade goes for the Hawks, say that's their last Japan Series appearance for a while, and the final out of their last appearance is, the All-Star and the face of the team during that dynasty. That's just a pretty cool tidbit to look at. But overall, I don't. It's. I feel like the Hawks got complacent, like they walked in expecting to win, and then of course, they went up 2-0. So maybe they were just like, oh, we'll just easily win game three, and then they're like, oh, and then they were like, oh, we'll just, we'll take the next two, and then they didn't. I don't. It's just kind of a weird way for an offense to die like that. I mean, Yokohama's got a really good bullpen, a really good starting rotation, but just for an offense like that to just completely go silent, it's kind of odd.
You got to look at game three, where the Hawks put up 10 hits but only scored one run, as one of the just sequencing issues. Back-to-back shutouts posted by Anthony Kay and Andre Jackson. Okay, good scouting on the part of the Bay Stars foreign club. And then just they ran into a buzzsaw, what I call an ambush inning in game five, where Arihara gave them 3 innings. Carter Stewart Jr. got put in on short rest, faced 6 batters, walked 2 of them, gave up 3 hits and 5 earned runs. That was the season right there. And it stinks for him because he had such a good one otherwise.
How many years does he have left on his
He got another 2-year
got another
extension.
2-year extension? He's a really good. I do wonder if the rest was an issue. How short rest was he pitching on?
He pitched 4 innings on the 29th, and then he pitched again on the 3rd, so not even 4 days rest.
I mean, I think that's typical for like a playoff series, though. There's always. I mean, to take it back to the North America for I mean, the 2019 Nationals, those guys are pitching what back to back to back to back.
I would still like if you were going to go to someone in a crisis moment, Moinello, your ostensible game 7 starter. At that point, go to Moinello, who would be a little more rested, and make Stewart start game 7. But that's water under the bay right now.
I can see that point of view, particularly because I wanted to see CC Mercedes in an elimination game, and he was just he was just not being used.
The Zach Britton zone, yes.
Yeah.
With that wrapped up, let's get into Around the Horn. And with Jimbo sitting on the roof of his car staring up into the ethereal abyss, we've handed his teams over to Matt. Matt, go ahead with the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks, pennant winners, Climax Series winners, winners of 2 games in the Japan Series.
We certainly hope that Jimbo improves after going into catatonic shock that the Yankees made it all the way to the World Series only to choke so badly, and that the Hawks had a 2-0 series lead and lost in 6 games. Yeah, feel better, Jimbo. Both of his favorite teams losing was a big hit. So I'm pinch hitting for him here. As far as the Hawks notes go, we've got a couple of things to talk about. The big one, of course, is a massive tip of the cap. Congratulations, and banzai to Tsuyoshi Wada. He finally is calling it a career after this postseason ended, and just announced that yesterday, November the 4th. His 1,901 career strikeouts are a team record, earning him the nickname Dr. K. 160 career wins, a 3.18 ERA, 2003 Rookie of the Year award, 2010 Pacific League MVP, 6 All-Star nods, 5 Japan Series rings, and a WBC gold medal from 2006. What a career. Also of note, pitchers Haru Matsumoto and Fuga Otake are headed to Puerto Rico to play in the Winter League this year. And that will do it for the Hawks.
I'll take next with the second place Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. Best of luck and banzai to Gosuke Kato, who announced his retirement from baseball on the 3rd. The former Blue Jay and Met was the first player, quote unquote, reverse posted to NPB through the draft. And despite many injuries, he still made his mark on NPB history by hitting in each of his first 10 career games during the 2023 season, setting a new league record. Over 90 NPB games, he put up a 572 OPS with 6 home runs. I'm still proud to have his cheer towel. Catcher Yu Tamiya was clearly playing hurt down the stretch. He had to have right elbow cleaning surgery on October 30th to remove some loose bodies from his elbow. He'll be back in time for spring training, though. Mike gets the mic for the Chiba Lotte Marines in third place until we scramble the order next.
All right, so for the Marines, let me start off their section by first and foremost saying the Marines have not committed to posting Roki Sasaki. We do not know if they will post Roki Sasaki. We don't know much about the situation, and it is futile to speculate really much about it. I see a lot of things going around. So what we allegedly know from our reports is that a yearly contract was offered to him, and the reports are saying he denied it. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying that is proof that he's getting posted. No, that just means that contract negotiations are going on. Wow, that happens every year with players. Who would have thought? That's crazy. That does not mean he is immediately going to the Dodgers right now. I saw people saying, I don't even know where these people are getting this information from. They're like, oh, well, if he rejects the conversation and, the contract, then he's a free agent. No, he's not. He gets put on a restricted list until he agrees to a contract or goes to another or whatever. I don't really understand where all these alleged experts are coming out now and saying, "Oh, any day now, any day now." I genuinely do not believe the Marines will post him. Because I don't even. I mean, some people are like, "Oh, well, the posting fee, they could really use it." I don't think they need it. It would help. I don't think they need it.
Also, it'd be very small because Sasaki's contract would be limited by international amateur caps. It's why Yamamoto waited until he was 25 years old and not beholden to that, so that Oryx could reap like a $50 million posting fee. It's not the way it was back before 2018. It is literally just a sales tax on top of the contract.
Yeah, and just like as a people have to realize that the Marines as a team are also a business, and Roki Sasaki is very important to their business, and it is not in their best interest to just simply, sure, you want to be posted? Here, go ahead. So they're going to be. I could genuinely see them not agreeing to a contract and him being added to the list if that happened. I don't think they'd give him up like that. And then honestly, for Sasaki, he hasn't. Yeah, he pitches great, but he hasn't done what Yamamoto did. If you want to go back a bit farther, I mean, Daisuke Matsuzaka, for example, kind of completed the league and had nothing else to do. Yu Darvish had nothing else to do. Masahiro Tanaka had nothing else to do. I mean, Hideo Nomo, he went over pretty early, but he still accomplished quite a bit. So
Let's put it this way. Sasaki still hasn't pitched more than 130 innings in a season. Let's see him get above that number first.
and let's see less trips to the injured list because it's what 23 was the blister from hell, and then this year he's had quite a few other issues. It's just so annoying. The conjecture is just so annoying, and I don't know. I mean, considering the podcast jinx, he could be posted 5 seconds after this goes live. Who knows? But it is as of right now, the answer is we don't know.
We don't know, and we may not know for a long while. So please calm thyself.
But here's something we do know. The Marines are sending 5 players to the Sydney Blue Sox of the Australian Baseball League, which is great because I don't watch much of the Australian Baseball League just because I don't. However, I did pick the Blue Sox to be the team that I would root for if I did find myself watching them. Pitchers Yuto Yoshikawa, Hikaru Otani, catcher Ryusei Tarachi, and infielder Shinya Matsuishi, and outfielder Daito Yamamoto will report back if they get a taste for Foster's and Vegemite, and who knows what else goes on in the Australian Baseball League. They have a couple of other things they like down there that's skipping my brain right now. That's what we know about that. And also, Akira Niho is hanging up the cleats over 16 years in NPB. He pitched in 121 games, 13 wins, 9 holds, and 1 save. So congratulations on a career to him. 16 years is a very long time. And that is pretty much it for the Marines.
Mike gets to argue with himself next. The Tohoku Rakuten Golden Eagles in fourth place.
I do that a lot, honestly. The Eagles are scouting Taiwan again, with Sung Chi-ha, the Taiwanese Titan, being such a big part of the bullpen. They've brought in 18-year-old Sao Chi on a developmental contract, and he is 6'5" and 216. He is very large.
In awe of the size of this absolute unit.
Absolute unit. Is he? I hope he's a catcher. That'd be crazy.
I think he's a pitcher.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
I think.
Okay,
I'll
he
double
better be
check.
throwing like 102 at to 6'5". That frame, he better be throwing gas.
Xiao Qi is a right-handed pitcher. He's already clocked in a pitch at 152 kilometers an hour.
I honestly thought you were about to say 152 miles for a second. I was like, what?
No, but like an 18-year-old that throws
Yeah.
94-mile-per-hour heat.
But congrats to infielder Itsuki Motobayashi for getting nominated as the injury replacement to Japan's Premier 12 team, Itsuki slash 241, 270, 313 over 139 games, while playing really good defense for the Eagles. So congratulations to him, and remember to be sure to check out the Premier 12. And then everything old is new again. Kazuhisa Ishii will be returning as the GM of the team, as announced on October 26th. Ishii was previously the GM for the 2019 through 2023 seasons, and then managed the team for the last three of those. So a lot of shuffling and a lot of moving around, a lot of the same parts and pieces in the Eagles organization right now. So who knows what's going to happen there?
Only one update on the Oryx Buffaloes, and so far a quiet offseason for them. But the rumor mill is stating that left-handed starter Anderson Espinoza is getting paid some of that Yoshinobu Yamamoto posting bonus to stay in Osaka. Victor Briseno from Swing Completo reporting a 2-year, $6 million US contract for the 26-year-old starting pitcher who put up a 2.63 ERA over 133 and two-thirds innings of work. Good to see him back in navy blue. That pretty much means that the Buffaloes' foreign core is locked in. Rounding out our set, the Saitama Seibu Lions, who we hope will be active on the free agent market. Matt, what do you got for us?
Yeah, the Lions. Talking at the beginning of the season about their pitching staff being so vaunted. Yeah, much ado about little, obviously, here. Kona Takahashi will not be posted to MLB this offseason. He couldn't get a win this year. He went 0-11 in all of his starts. So, yeah, not exactly the best platform to walk away. I'm sure he's going to enjoy the prospect of hoping rebuild his value next season. Jesus Aguilar will not be returning. He only hit 4 home runs and had a .204 batting average over 30 games before right ankle surgery knocked him out for the season. You can understand why the Lions wouldn't double down on that investment. Of course, they probably shouldn't have gotten rid of their prior foreign player investment. Neither here nor there. Also, today in intriguing merchandise, the Lions are selling a commemorative Christmas chicken. A full bird, 4 legs, and comes with a special Lions mascot plate for only 10,000 Japanese yen. Ichiman yen, they would say. I mean, Christmas is a time for fried chicken. Just ask KFC advertisers. However, it is worth noting that teams in general will use any gimmick they can, and this one seems all right, I suppose. I wonder if they have a lot of chickens in the Saitama area. I can't speak to that because I didn't live anywhere near it. But that will do it for the Lions, and their fans are really eager for spring training when hope springs anew.
To conclude our podcast, a brief look at the familiar faces in new places. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is a World Series champion. Add to that, WBC champion in 2023, Japan Series champion in 2022, Tokyo Olympics gold medalist in 2021, and WBSC Premier 12 champion in 2019. There's a reason I call him the ace of aces. That is why. Oh yeah, Shohei Ohtani won the World Series too. Ohtani also went under the knife to repair a torn labrum in his non-throwing arm. That was that quote-unquote shoulder sprain that he suffered back in Game 2 of the World Series. He'll be back in time for spring training, though. Speaking of ex-Orcs Buffaloes, former Buffalo outfielder Adam Jones invited two of his ex-Buffaloes teammates, the recently retired Yuya Oda and Ryoichi Adachi, to Game 2 of the World Series to see Yamamoto pitch. What a mensch. And former Yankee and current Rakuten Eagle Masahiro Tanaka was in Yankee Stadium for Game 4 of the World Series, as per Makun's Instagram.
The one time in my life I rooted for the Yankees and they did not come through.
Start spreading the news. That about wraps up this episode of the podcast. We'll be back next time with the award winners from the NPB season, as well as an early look at the off-season. And hopefully we'll be able to drag Jimbo out from the dark spiral that he currently finds himself in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTubey stuff. We'll see you real soon. Take care of each other, everyone.